Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be doing a face up on a 17-inch Gooliope doll and turning her into a cute Lolita. So I chose this Gooliope doll because she was discolored, and I'm removing all her clothes and accessories. And then I will be removing the drips from her. I started with a Dremel tool, but I found out that I didn't have enough control and it was giving me bumps, so a nail file worked better. I'll be cutting off her hair. I know I said I would be doing more uploads and getting back into normal schedule, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be happening. I'm traveling abroad away from home for 5 weeks for work, so I'll be gone again and will disappear. Hopefully I'll have time once I'm back to work on more videos. I used sanding paper just to smooth her out, and I wanted to change the shape of her eyes a little bit, so I marked it with a pencil, and then using an X-Acto knife I will start cutting from the center, working towards the outer part of the eye. Once I have the hole, I will be slowly cutting and engraving on the inside to create pockets and remove the thick rubber so the eyes will have a socket to sit in. Then I will be removing the factory paint with some 100% acetone. And I noticed that you really need to be fast on the 17-inch dolls because the plastic is a little bit different and acetone could ruin it for you. I will be cutting a hole in the head using my X-Acto knife. This way I'll be able to place the eyes from the inside. By the way, this doll has been sitting for 3 months because I didn't realize I didn't have any eyes, and when I ordered them they took almost 2.5 months to arrive. So we'll be doing some shoes for this doll. I will be using some silver foil to protect the feet. I actually bought shoes for this doll, but they were huge, so we're just kind of winging it and making them smaller so they fit the doll. I will be doing the base for the shoes using the papier-mâché method. So I'm cutting some tissue paper and I'm using some white glue, and I'm just adding piece by piece and adding glue. I did 2 layers on each foot. And here are the huge shoes that I bought, these boots. So what I'm gonna be doing, I will be removing the leather from the sole. So it had a base for the shoes on the inside, and I'll be reusing that. I'm using some strong glue and gluing it on the base that I've created for the shoes. I'm just putting some elastic band just to keep it in place so it sticks nice and tight. So I'm just cutting off the excess, perfecting it using an X-Acto knife. And once I'm done, I will be marking where I want to cut them so she can take the shoes off and on. Cutting them so they're like little slippers. And I traced the fabric on the paper and then placing the shoe just to see how I'm going to cut to create a pattern to make a good fit of the boots on her feet. So I'm just sketching it, and here is the new pattern. I will be cutting it. I'm just removing the zip. This did take a lot of work actually to make the boots smaller, but I think it was completely worth it in the end. So here it is. I marked where I'm cutting. And here they are. I stitched back the details and the zip. I put some epoxy sculpt to make the soles and that's it. Now I'm just going to paint them white with the white acrylic paint. Moving on to her dress, I bought a Blythe pattern dress and I just adjusted it to create a new pattern for her. I'm making some floral, sparkly, puffy sleeves. And then using this turquoise floral pattern, I made a skirt, and I'm going to add some ribbon on it, and here's the dress finished. I'm creating some accessories for her hair, and I wanted to make them a little bit creepy, classic Lolita, the eyeballs, and I'm going to do them blue, and I'm also going to add some black stones in the center to create the iris. And I'm using UV nail polish to create them. I bought the eyeballs from AliExpress. And I'm just going to cure the UV under my UV lamp. Made some pink ribbons and glued the eyeballs on. As for the doll, I sprayed her using my airbrush. I didn't film that part, but here she is. I sprayed her with 3 layers of Mr. Super Clear, and because she came out a little bit too yellow, I will be warming up her skin tone using pinks, browns, and reds. I'm starting off with her face, creating contouring and shadows, and then I will use my cotton bud. This way I get smoother, better looking shading. I'm adding some pink to rosy up her cheeks. Contouring her nose, and I like using smaller brushes to get into small, harder to get areas. And I blend away. Sadly, the areas where there's a lot of movement, the paint cracked really early, which is a shame because the area around her neck is already pretty much ruined. And this is why I don't really like changing the color on dolls. But sometimes you have to bring your vision to life. So I'm just blushing the body now, the hands and the legs. Now moving on to her actual face up. I will start adding more pinks on the lip, and now I'm going in with my pencils. I use Prismacolors. I don't know, I found them the best to work on dolls. I've tried watercolors, I've tried many brands, but this is what works best for me. I'm going in with the black now to create her eyeliner. Usually I start with brown, but since I already have my shape, I go in straight with the dark colors. I like to flip the head because it's easier to get on the other side and get it more symmetrical. Creating the crease on her eyes. And for that, I'm using a dark brown color. I wanted to add more eyeshadow on the lower lash line than the top lash line, and I went for a fuchsia. I will not be drawing any eyelashes, neither on the bottom nor on the top, because I will be gluing both pairs. Every time I turn the head, there's more of the paint coming off, and it's paining me. I'm using a soft pastel in a pencil form to create the eyebrows, and I wanted to create the shape first, then smoke it out for that nice soft look, and then I'll be adding some hairs on top to make them look more realistic. Just erasing with the tiny eraser to get the shape perfect. And now I'm on another layer of Mr. Super Clear, and I will be creating the hairs on the eyebrows. I'm just deepening that crease and adding a little bit of a shadow using a tiny brush just to give it more extra dimension. Adding more color on the lip. And I wanted the center of the lips to have a stronger color. I tried working with pastels to achieve that look, but it didn't quite work out. So what I ended up doing is adding it with watercolors. So I'm going over all the colors now to intensify everything and smooth it out. As for the nostrils, I added some watercolor using a very thin brush. Also, I went in the crack of the lip. And for the eyeliner, because it was a little bit bumpy and that there was spaces like in between, I filled it in with watercolor to make it completely smooth. Highlighted her cupid's bow with a white pencil. And here I'm adding some watercolor just to intensify the center of the lips. I'm adding a little bit more brown to the crack of the lip, and I'm turning it upward to give her a slight smile. Adding some black now after I sprayed her again with Mr. Super Clear in the crack of the lips just to deepen it. And now I'm on the last layer and I'm adding some Pearl X powder to give her some shine and sparkle. Now as she's drying, I'll be moving on to her eyes, and I decided to go for a blue color. I'm starting off with a light blue. And then deepening the rim around with some dark blue. And I used pastels to achieve that. Usually I just make the eyes super sparkly, but for this doll, I wanted them to look a little bit realistic, so I added an iris to her eyes, which I usually don't. Also, I added some lines to make it look more realistic, and of course, I did add some glitter because, well, that's me. I love glitter. And I think it gives more life to the eyes as well. I'm using a UV nail polish. And I use some gemstones to create the iris. Here are the sparkly eyes, and I'm just gonna cure them under the UV lamp. Look how they sparkle. They're so cute. So I need to cut off the neck plug so I have easier access to move around and place the eyes. I'm using epoxy sculpt to glue them, making 2 snakes and adding them around the eyeballs. And now it's time to place them. I find the placement that I like. I start pushing the epoxy sculpt just to push it on the head, and this will secure the eye. And then if it has moved, I just move it around to get the perfect placement again. While the eyes dry, let's move on to her hair. I will be using the wefts to glue around the head using the hot glue gun, but to make her bangs and her parting, I will be creating some wefts the more, let's say, traditional way with the glue. This drove me a little bit insane because the hair was curly. I should have straightened it first before making the wefts. It would have been easier to glue them and work with them. But here they are. I will let them dry. The eyes are now stuck to the head, and I will be gluing the head back with some super glue. I'm just marking where I want her parting and her bangs. also she's getting 2 ponytails. So I'm marking where those are gonna go. I rolled some wefts and glued them to create the ponytails. I've glued all the hair using hot glue gun, and it's time to glue the wefts that I've created to the bangs and to her parting. And I'm using decoupage glue because it's waterproof. And I just hold it there, and I use my hair dryer because it's quite a runny glue and it doesn't dry very fast. So with the hair dryer, it helps me glue it faster without worrying that it will move. Just gluing bit by bit, and I like to work in small sections just to make sure that everything's tidy. And here it is. She is finished. I'm just fixing a few things, a few areas that I don't like, and now she looks like Cousin It, and Cousin It needs a haircut. I'm just cutting slowly to get her bangs without the fear of destroying them and cutting them too short. Once her bangs are cut, I got some pink ribbon to hide the wefts at the ponytails, which I should have done from before. Glued them on the ponytails and then on the head. And she's pretty much done with her hair. Now she needs to get dressed. I will be gluing the ribbons on the ponytails. And I use silicone glue for that. It's the same glue that I use inside the head to secure hair on Rerooted dolls. Adding some high gloss varnish and a little bit of glitter on her eyeballs. I'm using gem glue to attach my eyelashes, and I'm going first for the bottom lashes and then the top lashes. And this is it. She is finished, and I absolutely love her. I think she came out completely adorable. There's a lot of stuff, of course, that I would change. I need to figure out a way of painting the dolls without the paint getting scratched off. Thank you for watching, for whoever stayed till the end. And I hope to see everyone once I'm back from my movie job. Thank you for watching.